How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Today I want to take a look at specifically some more theories about the new gimmick for Pokemon Winds and Waves. Now, if you guys do not know when I say gimmick, what I'm referring to, I'm specifically talking about things like Mega Evolution, things like Z moves, Terrestrialization, stuff like that. We already have hints, and we also have leaks about what this feature is going to be like, but now people have come up with more theories, and I thought we'd take a look at some of these and talk a bit further about it. So, if you guys do not know, the rumored feature is known as MAJIN, or at least that is the code name. Funny enough, Google actually has a AI overview of my own video about this topic, but to give you a quick rundown about what they're talking about specifically, or rather what MAJIN is, well, basically, it's a split between two different things. There's this thing called Apostles, and then there's MAJIN as well, and literally we can read through this. So Apostle is rumored to be a Gen 10 Pokemon game, they're in the rumored Gen 10 Wind Waves, right? So this is an old video of mine, but these are actually leaks that came out and are basically specific Pokemon species that gain unique Mega Evolution-like forms when equipped with divine sigils tied to powerful entities known as MAJIN. So that's where the MAJIN, gimmick name comes from, right? It's a code name. Now, these forms called Apotheosis change the Pokemon's appearance, ability, and type based on the MAJIN they're bound to. So basically, imagine a regular Pokemon, right? It gets connected to a MAJIN, which are these gods all around, like these little mini gods all around the Winds and Waves region. They connect to one of them, and they take the power of the gods, and that transforms them. So maybe a Pikachu takes the power of a wind god or a flying type one, and then it gains a sort of aura around it that's maybe a bit more like white or lightish blue, cyan or something, and then it also gains a new ability and or new moves, right? That's kind of what this is implying. So the mechanic Apotheosis would be a new battle gimmick where Pokemon receive stat boosts or form changes, and Apostle forms, this would be specific Pokemon that are attuned to specific MAJIN, allowing them to fully ascend into unique forms that reflect the iconography or elements of the MAJIN. So this would be the sort of, think of like Dynamax and Gigantamax. Dynamaxing is something every Pokemon can do, but Gigantamaxing is something only a few Pokemon can do, which actually changes how they look. The same way that when a Pokemon Mega evolves, it gets a completely new form. So Apostle forms would be Pokemon that are specifically getting special new forms connected to one of the MAJINs or gods. Now, speculated Pokemon, while the full list is not finalized, early rumors and leaked concept art suggest a group of Pokemon may get these special forms. I did talk about this in my video. I don't know if we necessarily have these anymore. I think we can open up some of the old tweets here from people like Soul, who kind of did a bit of a breakdown about these, and we had like a list of Pokemon and all that. We're going to get to this in a second, right? But that's essentially what that was about, and this was all back, in 2025, 2024 that we learned about a lot of this stuff. So keep in mind, things could have changed by now, but now we have a few theories. Like, for example, this logo might be the actual logo of the new gimmick. And I do have another theory over here from one of our viewers called George, who says that it kind of looks like the Omega symbol, right? So if you've ever seen Pokemon, specifically Pokemon Sun and Moon, right? They have the Z crystal in the logo, which is related to Z, Zeta, Z moves. You get it, right? Now he says, we know that the battle gimmick in Sun and Moon was called Z moves, and the shape of the battle gimmick in Pokemon Winds and Waves is kind of similar to the Greek letter of Omega. So it's possible the battle gimmick of the anniversary or these games will be based on the last letter of, I guess, the alphabet. I don't know. Again, it's not important. The main important part is that it could be related to Omega, right? Now, we do have Pokemon Omega Ruby Alpha Sapphire, and the symbol looks similar, but there is another theory, which is that it could be this thing, these sort of objects, or I think they're called, as they say here, Hagoromo, sorry, which is a Japanese word, so sorry if I mispronounce it, but no, it's not a Naruto character, okay? We're talking about specifically a feather garment, right? It's a sort of, it's a piece of cloth, I guess you could say, right? And it kind of looks a little bit like that, right? That's sort of the speculation here. Is it possible that this is supposed to be that? Which would make sense, because it's being used by these literal, like, god entities, yokais, literal, like, creatures that are godly as they're flying. I mean, this guy right here, I mean, what he has around him right there kind of looks like the same sort of object you see around the different forms of, I think Thundurus has those, if I'm not mistaken, or was it not? Might be thunderous. I could be wrong. But it's a similar thing going on there. So it's possible they could be connected, right? It is possible. There's no guarantees. But I also saw this post from Cuckoo Art, who actually drew an idea of what this could look like, what it would look like if they did make something like this. So thinking about the new gimmick could be based on older and recent rumors. I came up with something that might look like this. It's adaptable to all Pokemon, and the ones that get a new form and also gain some sort of a new ability. So yeah, again, we got the Apotheosis, as you can see, right? Like we got the Apotheosis ID. I'm going to open up this image in a separate tab real quick. Here we go. So basically, you got the idea of the Apotheosis, which we have right there, right, with the Pikachu. So they change the environment. Apostle Pikachu becomes similar to its Majin Guardian, creating a storm around it that causes all Pokemon in the field to be affected by its electricity, which is kind of a cool idea, right? Because again, the big thing, the big idea, the big deal, the big concept, if you want to put it like that, right? The big thing about this game of Winds and Waves is the idea of environment, right? Think about it. It's called Winds and Waves. It's literally like natural phenomena, right? So it's gonna be a lot about the environment and the reactions of it. So storms, winds, waves, etc., things of that nature also. There we go. It looks better, right? But either way, so Apotheosis would be the actual concept of it, and then the Apostles would be essentially Pokemon that would completely, like this, crazy-looking Pikachu on the right side over here, that would completely change form, right? That would completely change up how they look. That would be the concept and ID. I am personally on board for all of these. I think the entire thing sounds pretty freaking cool as an ID. And he got inspired to draw these specifically from actually the posts from Light and also the ID from Kuro here, right? And you guys may remember that this is what we knew about specifically this gimmick for Gen 10 back last year, which is Majin, which is a this weird thing where like the Pokemon kind of change shape and mold. So yeah, I don't really know. Again, if this is real or not, we don't really know. We have to wait and see. We know that Majin is somewhere inside of these like files. I know some people are saying that it's made up, but I think part of it is true. I don't know about the Apostle stuff, but we do know that there's some kind of connection between Majins, right? Because that is actually in the leaks. That's not something that was just made up. So we do know there's something there. As for the Apostles and Apotheosis, that's more up in the air. We'll have to wait and see. I do like the idea of something like this, though, right? Where they gain some sort of almost aura around them or like a shape like this. It's kind of a cool idea. I'm not going to lie. It's kind of sick. But I thought we'd just share that because here we have the original thing about these, which were posted by Cowman, which was a leaker for a while, who actually did come out with real leaks. And of course, Moot is kind of iffy when it comes to this kind of stuff. He does do leaks, but I don't know what stuff you can trust him on and what stuff you can't trust him on. So just bear with me here. But basically here, he talks about like the theory that the new gimmick in Gaia Gen 10, where you could, where there would be at least 8 apostles, a word he personally chose, maybe people, but probably Pokemon. They're basically disciples to a higher power, maybe the box legendaries. It is said that at least 8 because the devs also made a bunch of bigger pool, a number of 24, even 41 Pokemon that could possibly be used. But 8 gyms equals 8 apostles. That makes sense. So again, it's this idea of potentially like, think about how we have Titan Pokemon. So maybe having something similar to that, but these Pokemon would actually be specifically tied to being these like almost godly figures, which again, it's no guarantee that that is the feature they're going to go for or that that's what it's going to be like. It's just up in the air for now. It's just theories, it's just a game theory. By the way, also, we saw a few people noticing some few things about the 2 Pikachus, right? Mr. Windychew and Miss Wavychew, which Mr. Windychew actually has a lot of interesting shapes on his body. And somebody says here, not to cornplate, but his shirt has designs reminiscent to the Trial Captain crest from Alola, which is interesting, right? Very, very intriguing. And somebody, like, some people have different theories here. For example, Flick says, my theory, both of their shirts match the flowers on their heads. I think these purple, white, and pink, white flowers will be representative of each game, like oranges and grapes for Scarlet and Violet, which, yes, that is true. It's small observation, but they are important. But again, it's interesting nonetheless. Like, I'm very curious to see what they're going to do here, because even Kuro says here, if you think about it, in Sinnoh, they revisited PLA's Isui, rather, sorry, we got the Sinnoh revisit with PLA so Pokemon Legends Arceus, right? And then we got a Johto and Unova revisit with Kitakami and Blueberry Academy, so that was the DLC for Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. We got a Kalos revisit with ZA, obviously. We got a Hoenn revisit with ZA's Hyperspace, which I don't really know if I would count half of this shit, but fine. And currently, we are here, right? So an Alola revisit would be, I guess, Winds and Waves DLC potentially, so late 2027, 10 years of Ultra Sun and Moon. Kanto revisit with Pokopia, and Galar revisit with Champions or Legends Galar, maybe 2028. You never know. I'm just saying, it's always possible. But again, it's all IDs, it's all theories. You never actually know if anything is going to come through from that. But keep in mind, we do know some stuff from the leaks, right? So again, they do point out here, this is from PokeOS. I love PokeOS, but they do say this is the cleanest model that fit all the known data as of right now. But take everything with a grain of salt, as always. It's based on a 2024 Terra leak data, and some things may have changed. But basically, what we knew back then was that there are 8 gyms, 5 Majin, and 5 Nushi/bosses. So the 5 Majin are 5 Majin research facilities, or facilities where they research this new gimmick, which could be an Omega gimmick. It might be nicknamed Omega because of the shape of the thing. It might be nicknamed something connected to Hagoromo, right? Connected to that. Could be something else. Again, it's all theories and speculation at this point. But again, I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions. We do also know that there are 8 gyms pretty much going to be happening. And then these 5 bosses, right? So Titan bosses. Essentially, it's following the same formula that they went for in, if I'm not mistaken, in Scarlet and Violet, right? Which is where we had like essentially 18 different things to do. If I'm not mistaken, we had the gyms, we had the Titans, and we also had... oh god, what were they called again? The evil team, right? So those were the things. So then the bosses here could be like the research facilities could be where we deal with the bad guys. The bosses could be the Titan equivalent, and then the 8 gyms are just the 8 gyms in the story. So yeah, again, it seems like that would be possible. Gyms seem to be confirmed. Majin and Nushi are mostly clear, with only Ghost and Ground still uncertain. Current safest interpretation is the one in the image, or Pokemon Wind, Ground Majin, Ghost Nushi, and then Wave is okay. So he's trying to say that one of the Majins could be, or one of the, you know, one of the bosses, they could be exclusive to the different 2 games, right? Now, it's a possibility. We'll have to wait and see. There is no guarantees with this kind of stuff. Also, pretty cool little theory somebody had here for what the legendaries could look like, which I thought was funny. So yeah, but yeah, it is just something I thought I would share because it's just funny to me. But either way, I'd love to know your guys' thoughts and opinions. What do you feel? I think this image kind of gets me excited about the potential of what we could see. And of course, we've already spoken a bit about, like, you know, the Pikachu that we've seen from the leak here, where it's like its body is literally morphing, right? It's literally morphing in different shapes and forms. So it's curious to see if that's going to return in some way, shape, or form here. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that is my quick video. Again, update in regards to the Majin gimmick and all this kind of stuff when it comes to Pokemon Winds and Waves. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, drop a like down below, and I'll see you all in the next one.